Welcome into this episode of the show. Thank you for making this podcast a part of your day. While you're watching or listening, hit that follow button or subscribe button so this podcast will show up in your feed as I do podcasts throughout the week. This is a Minnesota sports podcast by Minnesota Tim, and I'm so excited to talk about what happened last night because I was as shocked as anybody after the Minnesota Timberwolves defeated the Los Angeles Lakers in Game 3 at Target Center. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to discuss Shadour Sanders.
You have no manners!
Whoop, wrong button.
Huh?
Not being drafted on day 1 or day 3, which is getting the media a lot of content to talk about, specifically ESPN, Mel Kiper, a lot of people discussing and reacting to what's happening with Shadour Sanders, and I'm going to talk about it too, because it's an interesting subject and one that we want to tackle. But first, before we dive into all these subjects today, I need to tell you about 5-Star Bass Solutions of Minneapolis. 5-Star Bass Solutions of Minneapolis remodeled our bathroom, and it is now our dream bathroom. And it didn't take 6 weeks. It didn't take 8 weeks. We didn't have to cram downstairs for weeks in our teeny tiny bathroom. Our bathroom remodel was done in 2 days, 48 hours, full bathroom remodel. I'm talking floors, I'm talking sink, I'm talking tub, I'm talking bath, I'm talking mirror, everything. Here's our old bathroom. Ugly step, moldy shower, handrails everywhere. Ugly sink, ugly vanity. We didn't like it. Terrible. We were embarrassed by it. Voila. In 48 hours, a new, modern, updated bathroom that we are now proud of. Plus, it increases the value of your home. So, in essence, you're kind of paying yourself. 5-Star Bass Solutions of Minneapolis gave us a double sink, a new vanity, new floors, new shower, new tub, new mirror, new everything. And they did it all in 48 hours, and we had our bathroom back like a snap of our fingers. We love it, and that's why I'm telling you about it. 5-Star Bass Solutions of Minneapolis is the best bathroom remodel if you're looking for a bathroom remodel. Convenient, done right, done quick. It's amazing. Free consultations available. Okay, so the Timberwolves defeated the Lakers 116-104 in Game 3. And a lot to talk about. Alan Horton, the play-by-play voice of the Timberwolves on the radio, had this to say before the game on X. He said, in NBA playoff history, in a best-of-7 series tied 1-1, the winner of Game 3 goes on to win the series 74.2% of the time. So going into this game, it's important because the loser of this game loses the series 74.2% of the time. So it's an important game. Target Center is going to be fired up. How are the Timberwolves going to react following a loss in Game 2? Will they look crisp? Will they look sharp? And at halftime, the Timberwolves were down 58-54. LeBron James is going off, has 20-plus points. Luka Doncic doesn't feel too good. He's got the stomach bug and was throwing up earlier in the day, according to J.J. Redick. And at halftime, I was not optimistic about the Timberwolves' chances to win this game. So I sent a tweet about it. I said, I've watched a lot of basketball over my life, officiated basketball, played basketball, watched a zillion NBA games. And I said this, I'm hoping for an old take exposed opinion, but I've watched a ton of basketball, and with it almost being halftime with the Timberwolves only down 3, I give the Timberwolves a less than 10% chance to win this game. Later on in the game, Timberwolves tied 103-103 with about 4 minutes left, and I tweet this: how are the Timberwolves supposed to win clutch time versus Luka and LeBron? No flippin' chance.
You kidding me?
And then guess what?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
Some way, somehow, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who don't have the most clutch player on their team, Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves have struggled all season long in clutch time. And then they're going up against Luka Doncic and LeBron James, two very clutch basketball players. You look at the data and the analytics, and you look at the analysis based on the information that was given to us, and the Timberwolves probably lose that game 9 out of 10 times when it comes down to crunch time. Especially with the way LeBron James was shooting the ball and the way that Luka Doncic was scoring in the fourth quarter. Because he had multiple possessions in a row where he scored on Rudy Gobert, which then forced the Timberwolves to put Rudy Gobert on the bench. But what changed the outcome of the game was Anthony Edwards' playmaking ability late in the fourth quarter. And not just his scoring ability, which he did score. He had a 3, he had a layup where he drove past LeBron, 29 points, 8 rebounds. But here's the kicker. Here's the difference maker. 8 assists. In game 1, Anthony Edwards had 9 assists. In game 2, Edwards had a big old goose egg of assists. 0. Game 3, 8 assists. And maybe game 2 isn't entirely on Edwards because the people that are shooting the shots have to make the shot for it to count as an assist. So a lot of it is dependent on the player to make the shot. But it does showcase how much of a playmaker Edwards was for teammates. And it does show that Edwards found teammates open and those teammates knocked down those shots. It shows the mentality of Anthony Edwards because he needs to be a playmaker for himself and for teammates. And that's what he's been so far in game 1 and game 3. He's also been efficient in game 1 and game 3. 12 for 26. That's almost 50%. 5 of 10 from the three-point line. And he was a difference maker at the end of the game. I did say that Skip Bayless was right in not calling Anthony Edwards a consistent superstar. But he does have superstar moments. And game 3 was a superstar moment for Anthony Edwards. First half, he wasn't looking too good. Jace Frederick, a reporter for the Timberwolves, sent out this tweet. Anthony Edwards is 3 of 9 in the paint. A season-long issue rearing its head. That's at halftime. Edwards in the first half was struggling. He was 5 of 14 at one point. He could not put it together, and he was missing layups at the rim that you would expect an explosive athletic player like Anthony Edwards to convert on. And he wasn't. But late in that game, Edwards was able to put the Timberwolves on his back with the help of teammates making shots to finish off the Lakers late. Edwards makes the 3 over Luka or over Finney Smith to go up by 3, 106-103. But then that very next possession, Timberwolves get the stop, Timberwolves get the ball. This possession changed the course of the game, in my opinion, because you score and you really give yourself a little bit of room to breathe in the final moments of the game. And Edwards finds Naz Reid late, wide open on the wing. And Naz Reid hadn't been performing very well throughout the course of the game. He finishes 2 for 5 from the three-point line, but going into that shot, he was 1 for 4 from the three-point line. And his impact wasn't entirely felt because in the first half, he missed like 2 or 3 just wide open three-point shots that you would expect Naz Reid to make. Edwards finds Naz, who replaced Gobert after Gobert got torched a few times by Luka. And then Naz Reid drains it. Timberwolves go up by 6. That was the bang shot from Mike Breen in that ball game, in my opinion, because it gave the Timberwolves just a little bit of breathing room and some comfort. And what is so fascinating is that according to Alan Horton, with the game tied 103-103 with 4:20 left, the Timberwolves finished the game on a 13-1 run to win it 116-104. So, not only was the offensive playmaking sensational from Edwards and teammates, but the Los Angeles Lakers with Luka and LeBron was having a classic LeBron game where he was going off, knocking down threes. They only scored 1 point in the final 4 minutes of that ball game, which points to them missing shots. And also the Timberwolves' ability to close that game defensively, even with Rudy Gobert on the bench. And the reason why Gobert had to go to the bench wasn't because of anything he was doing defensively, although Luka did score on him twice. It had everything to do with how the Lakers were playing the Timberwolves defensively. They needed to space out the floor so Edwards could have room to operate and score without Gobert clogging the paint. They bring in Naz Reid. There's room. Edwards drives. He makes a layup. He dishes. He finds Naz Reid. He dishes. He finds Dante DiVincenzo. Jaden Daniels. There was room to operate offensively, and Edwards was not having to go against a double team. That's why they took Rudy Gobert off the floor. Gobert did not get played off the floor defensively. He got played off the floor offensively because of the defensive strategy from the Los Angeles Lakers. We also need to talk about Jaden McDaniels because in game 1, he played great, 25 points. Game 2, a little bit of a disappearance act. But then game 3, including the late three-pointer at the end of the game, which didn't matter, Jaden McDaniels scores 30. Pulls in 5 rebounds, has 1 assist, 2 steals, 0 blocks. But what has stood out even more than the points or the rebounds or even the defense for that matter, although it is kind of the same thing, is Jaden McDaniels' ability to stay out of foul trouble in this series, because that is something he struggled with for his entire career. He just could not stay on the floor because he would make so many stupid fouls defensively. And he's got the talent. He's got the athletic ability. He's got the wingspan to be a top defender in the league. But the problem with Jaden McDaniels is that he would just foul. And they would just be the most atrocious fouls that you could ever imagine. And he would have to get benched in the first quarter, in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the game, because he would be in foul trouble. 2 fouls in game 3. 38 minutes. 13 of 22. 1 for 5 from the three-point line. 30 points. McDaniels was sensational at the rim, while also guarding a sick Luka Doncic and holding him to 17 points, 6 of 16 shooting. So, to recap the Timberwolves game, was Edwards and Jaden McDaniels, and also Julius Randle deserves some credit too. They played sensationally late They played elite offensive basketball late in this game, which has really been something we have not seen all season, which is why the Timberwolves were able to close out the Lakers despite LeBron going 5 for 9 from the three-point line. This was a big game because LeBron is 40, and he poured a lot into winning Game 3 because he knows the importance of Game 3 and what a 2-1 series means to the percentage chance that your team wins the series. Now the Timberwolves Lakers have less than 2 days until Game 4 at Target Center. Now, what we can expect is LeBron not to go for 38 points again. He'll probably take a more reserved role. But Luka Doncic is probably going to put up a 40 ball because the Lakers are going to rely heavily on him to carry them to a win. And with Luka's performance in Game 3 not being to his standard, he is going to be even more motivated and inspired to dominate Rudy Gobert, especially since Rudy Gobert got the best of him a few times in Game 3. So the Timberwolves need to beware of what's coming their direction in Game 4 from Luka Doncic. So I think that's my entire recap of Game 3 between the Timberwolves and Lakers. Let's finish off talking a little bit about Shadour Sanders. There was a funny tweet that was sent my direction from my brother. And it said, "What day is Shedeur getting drafted on?" And there's a picture of a guy with 3 toes. Day 3. And I'm not going to lie, it's been very entertaining to see the reaction and to see the drop from Shadour Sanders because I don't think we have ever seen anything like this. We've seen guys fall. Rodgers fell. Brady Quinn fell. Johnny Manziel fell. Players fall all the time. From being top 10 projected picks to being selected in the 20s. We're talking about a guy that just had a meeting with the New York Football Giants last week, and there was a ton of speculation that he would go number 3 or number 9 or number 21. While the Giants, Saints, and Steelers passed on him. And okay, he'll go day 2. Early day 2 pick. Nobody wants him. And a lot of people are being asked to analyze and examine what's happening with Shadour Sanders and why is he not selected and what's going on. Is the NFL racist? Why does nobody want him? Well, my best way to describe and analyze why nobody wants a piece of Shadour Sanders on day 1 or day 2 is because his talent level does not overcompensate for the personality and attitude that Shadour Sanders is going to bring to an NFL organization. The last thing that I want to personally hear is that Shadour Sanders has all the talent in the world, but it was his baggage. It's a complete lie. How many times in every draft do you see a guy go on day 1 or day 2 that has a ton of baggage, but is one of the most talented players in the draft, and teams grab him anyway? Because he is one of the most talented players in the draft. I think about Jalen Carter being selected by the Philadelphia Eagles. Had a ton of baggage. Even this year, Baltimore Ravens. They drafted, I have his name here, Mike Green out of the University of Marshall. I've never heard of Mike Green. Well, he was accused of sexual misconduct or harassment towards someone. Well, Ravens took a chance anyway. Of course, he denies it. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. I don't know. But the point is Mike Green has a ton of baggage, a ton of things to figure out and take care of. Baltimore Ravens took him in the second round because he led the FBS in sacks last year. Good player. We'll figure out the baggage later. Shadour Sanders also plays the most important position in college football. Do you really want all that baggage at the quarterback position? Because what follows Shadour Sanders is Deion Sanders. And Deion Sanders has been very vocal about his son. So I hear things like the NFL is racist, the NFL is treating him unfair, the NFL is out to get the Sanders family. And I looked it up, and not including the classic Jason Kidd race of, are you white? Are you black? I mean, I was basing it off of pictures. Jason Kidd, I think, described himself as black, but kind of looks white. And I was looking at the ESPN pictures of each draft pick in the first round. And if they looked white, I just said they're white. But sometimes, you're kind of an in-betweener. And based on what I looked at on pictures, 7 of the 32 players selected in the first round were white, which meant that 25 players selected in the first round were either black, and a majority of them are, or a different race other than white. So it is completely crazy to say that the NFL is not drafting Shadour Sanders because he's black or because they just don't like him. Damon Amendolara, never heard of this guy before. Apparently he's a host on SiriusXM Mad Dog Sports Radio. He sent out a tweet. And I completely agree with what he said. Impossible to know the mindset of each GM, but my guess is the tape on Shedeur was not good enough to be a first-round pick. Then once he slid out of the first round, drafting him to be a backup or a project QB doesn't seem worth the headache of Deion's platform and Shedeur's fame. Who wants a celebrity as their backup quarterback? I mean, isn't that why Aaron Rodgers is still considering playing for an NFL team next year? And there hasn't been a ton of teams looking for Aaron Rodgers, because at this point in Rodgers' career, the amount of talent that he has does not outweigh the amount of pressure and baggage that he brings to an organization. It's the same thing with Shadour Sanders. His talent is not so high that you can overlook the distraction and overlook the baggage where he's just like, yeah, we'll grab him anyways. NFL teams literally take alleged criminals, put them on their roster to try to win a Super Bowl because they think the talent level outweighs the production or baggage. So it's fun to track and look at the reactions of the media because they're dumbfounded. They can't believe what's happening. Why is he not drafted yet? And it's really not that surprising. I mean, it's surprising from the standpoint that, okay, he was projected as a first-round pick and he didn't get selected on day 1 or day 2. But when you examine why he has not been selected yet, it's not that hard. Why has he not been selected yet? People don't think he's as talented as everybody else does, and his talent does not outweigh the baggage that comes with selecting Shadour Sanders. So it's an interesting story to follow And there are teams that have already drafted quarterbacks, like the Giants drafted Dart. The Browns drafted a quarterback out of Oregon. So it appears that the team that will take a chance on Sanders is not necessarily the team that was projected to draft him in one of the first rounds. Maybe the Steelers will still snag him, but the Browns drafted their guy, the Giants drafted their guy. So it's an interesting story because we have never seen a fall this hard. Plus, he got pranked by someone, which was honestly hilarious, but a little uncalled for. So, and the Seahawks drafted Jalen Milroe. And we just got quarterbacks coming off the board. And Shedeur still chilling. I like his tweets, though. He's talking about thanking God and playing for the Lord and stuff like that. So that's cool. But anyways, Shadour Sanders still available. Why is he still available? Is the NFL racist? No. Get out of here. It's ridiculous. When you look at the percentage of players that are black that play in the NFL. It's a lazy take. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. It's a race bait take is what it is. Remember, 5-Star Bass Solutions of Minneapolis. Check them out today. 5-Star Bass Solutions of Minneapolis. They'll get your bathroom done in 48 hours. Best remodel we've ever gotten in our lives. Check them out today. Thank you for watching and for making this podcast part of your day.